Alright, what's happening YouTube? Forrest here, CichlidMan09, coming at you from CichlidMan09's cave. We're going to call it my cave because it's my dark place I come to chill. We have an awesome question posted that I'm extremely surprised that I have not covered in a video yet. I can't remember the video, so I can't go back and look and find it. And I was really excited to do the video, so I just decided to do it. But when I find out who did that, I'll try and put the link in with the video. So the question was, do I prefer acrylic tanks or glass tanks? And in my opinion, there's a double-edged sword to that question. And in all reality, for smaller tanks, I would say in the 125 gallon and down range, I'm going to prefer glass tanks. And in the tanks in maybe 180 up, you know, to your 600 gallons or whatever, I'm going to prefer acrylic tanks. One reason I'm going to prefer acrylic tanks when they get larger is just due to weight. This 135 is a glass tank, and it's probably a solid 150 pounds. Moving it by myself is extremely difficult, even though I've done it, and it's a pain in the ass. However, this 150 right here, I can just as easily pick up over my head, probably half the weight. Much easier material to deal with. Acrylic is a type of plastic. That's basically what it is. It's a plastic tank. Acrylic is a clearer material than glass. It's basically 100% clear. Glass, however, is not. There's going to always be some sort of a tint to glass. When I use the same bulbs from like the Color Max bulbs that I use, in this tank they produce the exact color that comes through. In the glass tank, there's a slight greenish tint that comes from just having to pass through the glass, the light passing through the glass. They do have a low iron glass, I believe it's called Starfire glass that they use now, which is supposed to be just as clear as acrylic, but I believe it's much more expensive. So, like I said, acrylic is a lighter material. It's clearer material. And the way we bond an acrylic tank together versus a glass tank is acrylic is actually bonded, whereas I would say a glass tank is glued. You can see right here this seam on top of this 225. What they use is a kind of cement which basically fuses the two pieces of acrylic together, so this tank could technically be considered one large piece of acrylic due to the way that acrylic is bonded together. Glass tanks, however, I would say are glued together. There is no bonding whatsoever. There is a glue material. We use silicone, and that is used to bond the two pieces of glass together, and that creates a glue. However, I can just pull that apart with enough force. An acrylic tank, you're not going to be able to pull that apart. It takes different forces to pull an acrylic tank apart. Now, if I were to build a tank, I would build a glass tank. I would keep it on the smaller side because glass is so heavy and difficult to deal with, but when we're talking building a DIY tank, glass is going to be, in my opinion, your simpler material, as it is just silicone. As long as you do it the right way, you're going to have a very easy build. Acrylic, you've got to have the edges perfectly clean, you've got to get the right bonding material. It's a much harder process. So another reason I would say go glass over acrylic for smaller tanks is strictly due to the fact that smaller tanks are usually filtered via hang-on back filtration. And the way most acrylic tanks are made, the tops don't necessarily accommodate using hang-on back filters as easily as it would be to just throw it on the back of a glass aquarium. Glass aquariums are basically built to put a hang-on back filter on the back, and hang-on back filters are built to fit onto glass tanks, just because that's how it's always been. When you get into the larger tank sizes like the 225 here and the 150, you're going to want to deal in the lines of canisters or sumps. And the great thing about acrylic tanks is the ease they are to drill. They are extremely easy to drill. It's basically like drilling through a piece of wood. As long as you keep it semi-lubricated, your drill bit, being that your hole saw or whatever you're drilling it with, it's basically a straight through process, where glass is a little bit more finicky. One little grab of the drill bit and your glass can crack and ruin the whole thing. This tank right here, as a matter of fact, my 150, I've got a big old crack in the top of it, and that does not weaken the structural integrity of the tank. You can see this tank is kind of built so that I can fit some hang-on backs on there. I choose to use the sump due to the water volume, but this acrylic tank is very easy. As a matter of fact, I put this entire tank on here, this 225, because of it's a lightweight material in acrylic. I moved that entire tank myself. My entire fish room, guys, I have moved every single tank in position all by my lonesome because I have no friends. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just impatient and you know, like to do things on my time instead of waiting for other people. But so that's part of it. Like I said, DIY goes, you're going to want to go glass. If I build a DIY tank, the first one I'm going to build is glass, but max size I'm going to go on that is maybe a 125, 6 foot by 18 by 24 or something like that. Thicknesses on a glass and acrylic, both of which are dependent on height. They're going to be about the same. You know, up to about 20 inches, you're going to use about 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch glass. Once you get up to about 24 inches, 3/8 to 1/2 inch glass. Anything under like 16 or so, 1/4 inch is awesome. Basically goes the same way for both tanks. That's why this 225 is so amazing, because it's only 18 inches tall, which if you do your math only requires 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch glass, and this was built at a 1/2 inch, which is extremely durable and fantastic. You can see this tank right here is taller, and I believe we use 3/8 inch acrylic. I might have said glass a second ago. I meant acrylic, guys. But you can see our top right there. Okay, so when it comes to supporting an acrylic tank, I'm doing this one incorrectly because you need to have styrofoam because of the flat surface. There's no braces. There's nothing for the tank to rest on. A glass tank with braces, like this 75 down here, technically the only weight that's being supported is on the four corners, and that's the only place you need to support the tank. When you're dealing with maybe a frameless glass tank like I have right here, the entire bottom of the tank has to be supported, and that goes true for acrylic tanks because acrylic tanks are not built with frames. I don't think I've seen any. You can see right here, this one I have correctly. And what the foam does is it actually absorbs the imperfections in the bottom of the stand and creates a flat surface. It does not level the aquarium. It assists in leveling the aquarium, but the aquarium needs to be leveled via the stand and via the floor. May it be with shims or whatever, the stand being built level. But that's how you level a stand in a tank. Like I said, this one is incorrect. I do not have styrofoam underneath it, but it's been like this for 2 years, and I don't have any issues. So, kind of breaking my own rule right there, but for all intents and purposes, you need to have styrofoam underneath your tank. This tank will get styrofoam eventually. Check out our dough guy, by the way. So, glass versus acrylic. So far, we're at smaller tanks. I'm going to prefer glass. Larger tanks, I prefer acrylic. DIY projects, I'll prefer glass. However, if I'm going to go DIY for a very large tank, I'm probably going to choose acrylic due to the ease of handling acrylic. It's just a much lighter material. Let's see if there's anything else I can think of at the moment. Like I said, acrylic is a clearer material than most of your regular glass tanks. There is a Starfire glass you can get that I believe is pretty expensive though. Yeah, so I mean, I have a mix of both glass and, see, I have 6 glass tanks and I have 2 acrylic tanks. I love them all the same. Each tank that I have fits the exact purpose that I need the tank to fit. The 2 acrylic tanks do exactly what I need them to do, and they're perfect for these 2 situations. My glass tanks are perfect for their situations. Yeah, hope this helped you guys out. Like I said, I'll put the link to the person who suggested this question. It's an awesome question. I'm surprised I haven't covered it yet. I'm glad to have covered it now on a happy Friday. Check out our gorillas, and we're just going to hang out with the fish for a little bit and close this video out for you guys. Having fun with my YouTube channel, over 500 subs. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Having a great time. I'm really hoping that I may have a pair of bean eye out of this tank. I'll definitely get a pair of Freds. The Midas probably going to have a new home here soon, but he's just looking awesome, doing great. All of these fry are doing great. And of course our mom and pop wild caught umbies doing their thing with their fry. See if we'll get them all riled up here for a second. They're just doing great. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope this helped out anybody out there who's maybe looking for a tank and can't decide whether they want to go acrylic or glass. Any other questions, please post them up in my comments. I'll try and answer as best as I can. If I don't know the question, I'll pretend, you know, and fake you guys out. We'll finish this by feeding my fry some NLS 0.5mm grow formula. Some of these guys, Umbis passionis motaguensis. I've got the largest male motaguens in here, is just looking fantastic. I've also got Jaggy Jags in here for my boy Jeff. I think that's our big moto right there. I'm not sure. I'm probably wrong. But they're just looking great, having a fun time. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.